Is there any piece of advice that you would give to an emerging founder that hasn't made that hire yet into business coaching on what they should do?
Jump in and find someone that can relate to people. I think in my experience, that's been the most important attribute that I had. Find someone that fits your team chemistry. Find someone that's loyal and that's going to fight to the end of earth for you, because those are the people you're going to rely on.
Yeah. Is there, looking back, is there any advice that you wish I had given you when you first started out as a franchise business coach that I didn't?
Yeah, I had a desire to know it all and to figure it out quickly, and that's not the way the world works. So patience, I think, is the biggest thing. So yeah, just patience.
So tell me some things you learned early on in the process.
Yeah, you learn a lot from the conversations you have with the franchise owners. And I remember working with a business owner who's an ex-high school basketball coach, athletic director, great guy. He knew a lot of the X's and O's and what to do with running leagues. His wife was a little more demanding. She was a VP of a credit card company. And I remember the conversation where I wasn't fully prepared for it. But when I had this conversation, they grilled me on systems and processes. Why didn't we have XYZ ready? Why didn't we have a roadmap for this? Why didn't we have a talk sheet for this? And I took that to heart. And that really taught me that, yes, you work for the franchisor, but you're an advocate for the franchisee.
Yes.
And I would say probably 49% franchisee advocate, 51% franchisor advocate. Just tilted a little bit to that side of it. Because as a business coach, you're the closest to what's going on in the field, and you need to be able to bubble up where the challenges are. So yeah, I took that to heart and came back and we developed some of those processes that she did.
And she was right, by the way.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. We needed those things,
yes,
those checklist items for them to say, yes, we got it. And that's, where we can transition to bigger conversations. That conversation was in the weeds. Didn't really want to have it. I want to be able to say, here, take this book and that'll show you it. And let's move on to something else. So yeah, taking those early conversations and really learning from them. I also had another franchisee. I'm not sure if you'll remember this one. A gentleman in California who had a couple pretty nasty complaints into the home office.
Okay.
And
in Southern California.
That area.
Yeah.
And I remember having the conversation with him.
Yeah.
And it took me aback. The conversation ended up going, it feels like you have a customer experience problem.
Oh.
And his response blew me away.
What was it?
How do you know you're not there?
Oh.
And I just said, yes, you're right. I wasn't there. So that really taught me something. Don't go into these conversations with I feel. Go into these conversations with data. Go into these conversations with third-party data, especially to be able to have a conversation that is right, wrong, or indifferent. We're getting feedback from the customers that say X, Y, and Z. Let's work through that and make it better. I learned at that moment that franchisees can get emotional, especially if you accuse them of things. And that's not a good feeling.
Right.
So backtracking that, it's how to have those conversations, and you learn from each of those ones that you have, and you go, okay, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to do something else.
Right. All right. Well, this is a perfect segue to talk about customer feedback. So, Scott, I'm not going to lie, it's a little odd sitting across from you. Neither one of us are wearing an I9 Sports logo. I never envisioned us ever wearing two different logos, not even on the same team, but that's the beauty of franchising, right? And it is such a close-knit industry. And we get to remain dear friends. But after 10 years at I9 Sports, you moved on to Listen 360, and we were a client of Listen 360. So why don't you share with the audience what Listen 360 is in case they don't know?
Yeah. So we are a software platform that helps businesses track, analyze, and manage the customer experience. We do it through connecting with your CRM, your POS, your franchise management system, whatever it is, to trigger at customizable points surveys. And we asked 2 very simple questions. The first one is, how likely would you be to recommend? That's known as the ultimate question, otherwise known as the net promoter question. Okay. And then we follow up that question with another one that basically says why. And that gives us open-ended comments, key drivers of that person's experience with the business to be able to mine. And we're able to go through all of that data and help businesses transform what they do. We also then are able to ask the customers to leave a review. We can leave reviews on sites like Facebook and Google. Most people obviously choose Google for the search rank portion of it, but we help generate leads of new customers based on what prior people are saying.
So the beauty of it again is you take out the I think or I feel. Yeah. And customer data, because data doesn't lie. There's no emotion to tie to data.
Absolutely.
Can you share, again, the audience, I'm not sure how familiar they are with Net Promoter Score. So can you share what is NPS?
Yeah, Net Promoter Score revolutionized the world 10, 15 years ago. It was created after a decade of research done by Fred Reichheld and his colleagues at Bain & Company. They were trying to uncover what makes a successful, fast-growing company tick, and how could they predict that. And what was really interesting to them is it wasn't this set of survey questions like they thought. It really ended up being one single question that could predict loyalty, and loyalty was what really brought that to the surface. So that question that they landed on is, how likely would you be to recommend?
We're taking out the franchisee's opinion of, I feel like, and now it's data that's driving the results.
100%. Your customers tell you what's going on and how to react.
Right. And I think the other thing that's so critical of Listen 360, having that data, is now we can better coach franchisees, because if we start to get a lot of common threads. It's one thing to get a comment, let's say, I'm going to go back to the I9 Sports days, where we got a customer maybe gave us a 5 because their kid got bit up by red ants. I think you probably remember that one. And the franchisee was livid. They were so upset. They're like, I put my heart and soul into this business, and they gave me a 5 because their kid got bit up by red ants. Like, I can't control that. You throw that out. We understand there are anomalies, but when we see too many comments from a customer that says the coaches weren't good, or it was very disorganized, I didn't know where to go. It's those things where we're really honing in on. It's not that we're nitpicking each individual result. And if I can be so bold as a franchisor that used the service to say that I didn't want to use Listen 360's data as a stick. It was more of an encouragement tool to say, hey, here's what's going on. And one more thing I do want to add would be, if there was a franchise owner that liked to complain about a lot of things, that my customers, it's different here. Once all the other franchisees in the network saw everybody's results, it disarmed a franchise owner that was constantly complaining about their customers, because it was like, okay, nobody else is having this problem around the country. Maybe it's you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen 360 provides a platform to be able to better understand individual location challenges and successes, but then also aggregate that data across your entire network.
So Scott, why would an emerging franchisor, some franchisor that's only has a couple units open, why would they use Listen 360?
Well, it's never too early to start good practices.
Right.
Most franchisors come to us for 2 reasons. Number one, a bit out of fear. Starting a business and being completely in control of the experience when you have 1 or 2 locations is comfortable and you know what you're doing. Once you scale, that experience is now in the hands of your franchisees. And that's a big challenge for a lot of franchisors. So our system gives you the ability to be able to see that across all locations and keep an eye on things. Is someone kind of going rogue? Are they going out of the box a little bit? And you'll see that in some comments. We survey every single customer. So if there is a problem, it's going to arise and you're going to see, are they doing something they shouldn't be? Are they, not responding to situations early enough? Are they not living up to your brand standards?
Yeah.
So we give you the ability to look into each individual operation and see what's going on. And that's incredibly important to most franchisors.
Yeah.
The other side is to be able to understand aggregated data and learn what's going on, rather than putting through a once-a-year survey where it takes months and months and months to collect the data and then take all that information in and then analyze it, and 3-4 months later you're acting upon it. Our system continually updates and sends surveys. You're just getting that feedback in over and over again, and as soon as you want to ask a question, you go into the reports and you find that answer. So understanding aggregated data is important. Lastly, running a franchise or setting up a franchise is all about systems and processes. And, how can you process every bit of the business out? Listen 360 is a process in a box. We're going to help you manage the customer feedback process, manage the experience, give your franchise owners the tools to reach out and make it right if it is a challenge. So if there are any negative surveys, they're going to get alerted right away and prodded to go out and make it right. So yeah, we're going to help you set up those processes. We're going to help you understand aggregated data and what's going on big picture. And we're going to help you manage each location so that they provide an excellent experience.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.